Welcome to Lifehack Advisors, roundtable number 97,462. Mike,
John,
Marcus,
Stevie P.
All right, and we got some topics today that are the greatest of all time because I came up with them. Tools, we'll be talking about some tools, a little bit of finance and investing. Yeah, nailed it. And happiness. So those are some general topics. So I guess we'll start off with the first tool for helping you find the right career path. Does anyone have any of those?
I do.
Okay.
I have some questions to ask yourself regarding this topic. So, like,
custom tool.
Yeah, when you want to find your career path, you got to ask yourself some critical questions. So, the ones that I wrote down were, what do I do in my free time?
Okay.
What topics do I read about most? And what do people often ask me about? So those three questions will be big indicators of where your passions lie, where your skills lie, and how useful you are to people and in what areas. And then another exercise that I wrote down was to outline your ideal day. So how would your work look like as a part of your ideal day?
Okay. And so do you have, I know you're a lot into the creativity, do you have any advice for people as far as if they don't know what their ideal day looks like yet, or?
Then, like, keep asking yourself those kind of questions.
Just
like
really be conscious of it, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
try different new things. One of my bullets,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I had to add to that, what would you happily do for free if money was no object to you? You know, obviously, what are you passionate about? When you're doing something, what doesn't feel like work, right? Work is like a label. People who love their work don't call it work, right?
Prostitution. Got it. Yes. Thank you, Marcus.
Now, there is a tool. I've been given the book. I haven't used it. But StrengthsFinder 2.0.
Yep.
And as I said, try different new things. Get experiences. Go smoke some weed with John.
only a little bit.
Yep. That discussion.
Anywho.
Yeah. So do you have anything on this one?
Yeah, I mean, the other guys kind of covered it, but really at the end of the day, it's about knowing who you are. You got to know what you like, what you love, what you want to do, like, and don't think of it as like a career. I don't really like that where it almost makes it seem like you're stuck. Like, as you grow, you're going to evolve. You need to allow that. You don't want to like shackle yourself. That's why you find all these people who are, 15 years with a company and they decide to quit just shy of retirement. Cause like, the fuck have I been doing with my life?
Right.
So
That's good. Yeah, I think mentality shift. So I took this a little too literally and said there's I think it's a book called What Color is My Parachute or What Color is Your Parachute? I can't remember which one, but it's actually pretty interesting if you look at it. And then there's actually a survey that I took called a VIA survey, which is VIA. And I just remember taking it a little while ago, and it was actually like kind of eye-opening. And it basically said, what do you value about yourself? What do you get? Sort of the same things that you were saying. But I just found it very interesting because it sort of ranked, certain traits, like, for example, courageousness or, hardworking, blah, 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 like a good work ethic, that sort of thing. And I found it useful because it's really talking about the types of activities that you value during the day. And not only is that a good way of helping you find the right career, but also how to make the most out of the current career that you have, if that's your other objective. So I thought that was a pretty good thing to do. So
Nice.
yeah. All right. Tools for reading or consuming news, content, information, and entertainment.
I noticed he added a lot of slashes there for us.
I do that all the time, yeah. Yeah, content was really what I was going for.
I'll probably speak for Steve in advance on this, but I don't really pay attention to news.
What?
Or information.
Well, how do you know what to fear? I don't understand.
Exactly. Exactly. Or I like, as a sidebar to this, on a Sean Stevenson podcast where he's talking about the news, he gave the example, he said, with Ebola last year. He's like, so how'd that work out for Americans and so forth? Now, but 1 million people died of heart disease.
Mhm.
Do
Yeah.
you ever see anybody talking about the root cause of that and why? Or like 400,000 people died of diabetes. Do you
I
see
mean,
that?
why would you
And,
focus on something you can actually control? I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Instead, fear ISIS and everything else. But for me, Kindle, I just recently joined KDP Select, which is awesome because it's $10 a month. Read as many Kindle books as you want.
Oh no shit, that's really
KDP?
Yep.
What's that stand for?
Kindle
Direct publishing.
Direct Publishing.
Oh, cool.
And then Netflix and Amazon Prime's content service. Those are my only forms of entertainment and content ingestion, other than listening to this podcast in repeat mode over and over
Right. Well,
to better myself.
what else could you do?
Yes.
What I wrote down for this was don't.
Thank you, Steve. Now on to John.
But
But in fairness, his slashes,
yeah,
you do get some information.
but really,
content.
I listen to podcasts like typically every morning while I'm doing something like walking.
If you had to say like a top 1, 2, or 3,
Sean Stevenson, Model Health Show, like he just mentioned, Tim Ferriss's podcast, and probably Joe Rogan's as well.
Mm.
What about this one?
His.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Well,
Not counting this. It's a given. This one's a given.
okay.
And then, I just read old school books at night. And then in between, I'm just creating my own stuff. I'm focusing on creation instead of absorption.
So by old school, you mean
Books.
literally?
Physical books, like,
I thought you meant
where you
like
turn the page.
from ancient Greece or something.
I like those more, especially you mark it up and stuff.
Yeah, highlighters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
way easier to go back later.
All right. I guess I'll go if we're going this way now. Well, Reddit, because that's just what I say every time. I'm not even gonna go into it again. But Google Reader and like there's other RSS readers. I don't know if you guys know a lot about it, but I actually haven't gotten much into the RSS readers, but I've always wanted to get into that, and I've heard it's a really good way of like sort of customizing the content that you're seeing.
I thought Google was getting rid of its reader.
I mean, any RSS reader, I guess. So, anyways,
Right.
that's all I had for that one. Not much.
You know, Google drops programs though occasionally. Or
Yeah,
not
oh, yeah.
occasionally. Yeah, I think that's one
was-
on the chopping block.
I have to say, one that I was
People
very
liked it.
disappointed about was Google Health. They had this whole like grand vision of everyone storing their medical information in like a central location, and then like you could share it all over, which is one of the big like topics in the healthcare space. Is saying, you know, how can we make sure that you don't lose your information? Because a lot of times people go doctor to doctor, you just lose everything, and the history is relevant, right? And so I don't know. They had this like really cool initiative, but it ended up being that nobody was entering their data.
Well,
so they
and
had to give up.
also when that has happened, insurance companies get access to it and then they use it against you. There's tons of cases of that, even with DNA testing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they could take your DNA and actually change your policy. And
Shit.
Yeah, seriously. Like Tim Ferriss, speaking of it, actually did a podcast on this. Like he hasn't had some of it done because people can do all kinds of fucked up shit when they know about your DNA, your weaknesses, and other things.
I'm going to try to avoid going on a really long rant about insurance,
Yeah.
but can I just say, like, the concept of the fact that they make money so because they give you less money back, and, like, yet everybody still wants it. It's just crazy. Sorry. That's all I have to say about that.
I don't have insurance.
Great job. Stick it to the man. I hope you're not
That's-
talking about health insurance, though.
I'm definitely talking about health insurance.
All right, go ahead.
I don't. Yeah, the news. No.
But what about content, information, or entertainment? of
Content
any kind?
information. Usually, that's if something like catches my eye if I'm perusing, then I'll start diving in, and then.
We're
But
not talking
most
about you porn.
no XNXX.
I'm sorry, none of us
Better.
know what these things are. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
XNXS.
Okay, so
XNXX.
All right. Hey, this
For all of
podcast
you out
is
there.
explicit.
maybe it's useful to some people. There are
They
lots
might.
of pornography sites out there available.
Okay.
You can never have enough. But yeah, no. Usually like podcasts or whatever. Something has to pop out to me for me to pursue it. Because otherwise, I just read books. Whatever. Like I spent like 3 hours at Barnes and Nobles the other day, just walking the shelves, like looking at every one, whatever caught my eye.
Can we?
Oh, don't you love this? Is like the meathead trainer, like counter image instead of like being at the gym. He's at Barnes and Noble reading, flipping through a poetry book.
No, but I think
But I can do both. See,
I just came up with a brilliant idea right now while I was watching John talk about this. We should really have video bios on the website, and John just said, "I just read books." That should be his. All right. Next one, travel tools. I'll start this one. I mean, the simple one is Priceline. I mean, sometimes if you actually play around with that and use express deals and name your own price, it can end up saving you a bunch of money. I think that's good. But one that's actually more of like an interesting one that not every single person in the country has heard of, Skip Lagged. You guys heard of that one?
No.
So basically it's a way of, you can go on there, and actually some of the airlines are trying to shut it down, but you can go on there, and if you put in your flight information, it finds a way so that if you want, you can book a trip for cheaper. Like let's say you want to go to Chicago from Philly, right? They'll look at flights that go Philly to Chicago to Atlanta that are cheaper than just Philly to Chicago, that sort of thing. Now, airlines hate when you do that, but if you're not checking any bags, it can save you a bunch of money because of the stupid pricing schemes they have.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So, Skip Lagged. It's interesting.
That's great.
They're being sued by, I think it's United Airlines right now.
Well, just like Uber and anything that's actually good for the consumer.
Dude,
and
yeah.
I went to sign up for Uber to offer my services. My car's too old. Assholes. I was like, oh, make a little extra money on the side. Fucking right. I don't go drink. No.
Unbelievable.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have you,
just skip John.
I'm gonna have you bitches on this one. Hotel Tonight.
That's a
I've
good
told
one.
you about that one.
Can you remind the audience?
Hotel Tonight is expanded beyond the day, so you can actually do a few days ahead. But you basically click that you want a hotel within the next few days or tonight, and it's more boutique hotels. There's definitely some mainstream ones, but it's guaranteed lower than Priceline.
Wow.
And I like it because you get boutique properties and really nice properties.
Cool.
Tablet Hotels is a website and an app. If you like boutique, smaller, creative hotels, once again, instead of the big chains, it's one of the best sites. Club Corp. This one's definitely sort of a travel lifestyle hack. I used to be a member of a Club Corp private club. So it's basically a network around the world of private golf clubs, business clubs. So what I did is I joined one in Atlanta where the membership was maybe $180 a month for global access. If I'd have joined the Rockefeller Center one, it would have been like $1,500. I actually lived in New York at the time, but I joined the Atlanta one, and then I could access all around the world, but for business meetings and travel. And then like whenever I'd go to San Francisco, there'd be one there with a full gym, like a proper gym with weights, squat racks.
Wow.
These are serious places.
So did you say Club Corp?
Yeah, Club Corp. We'll put it in the show notes as well.
Okay.
Similar is Regis. I used to have a global Regis membership, and I'd use meeting rooms in Australia to New York to you name it. I'd have basically office space or meeting rooms. So I think that's a big one. Airbnb. Last few years, that sucker's added a good 16 to 22 grand to my income tax return, which is money I didn't have in my pocket before. So, lastly, couch surfing. And I've told John, because one of these days he wants to be on the open seas and open road. I would if I could, but they have couch sailing as well. So basically, if you're interested in traveling around the world, helping out on different yachts, it's a great forum where you can people put like, hey, I need a crew. I'm going from Cape Town to Sydney.
Sweet, sign me up.
And they have different things. Some want tutors, some want to cook, some want just hands, but you basically get to be on somebody's yacht. I mean, obviously you're not going to be in the luxury suite, but pretty cool way to see the world and travel. lastly, I'll mention, I know I said lastly already, but a small world. I don't think it exists very strongly anymore, but asmallworld.com was Facebook not for the masses. And like when I moved to London, it's how I got my first apartment. When I would travel to like Berlin and I wanted to meet people who weren't douchebags, but basically it's like a global jet setters network. Like they don't even have like San Francisco and New York on the city list in America. In other words, like it has to be like an interesting city or it doesn't show up.
Right.
You know, like people who, you know, ain't too God-fearing Americans. You know, but I mean, it's like you have to be an open-minded international individual, like to even. And if you were ever like pushing your own wares and stuff, you got kicked out like that.
Right.
So sort of anti-Facebook, as in self-promotion was not looked well upon.
Right.
And literally like capped at like 100,000 people globally. So.
That's not very many. No.
But then I had a
That's
hiatus,
awesome.
but a really good travel hack. All right.
All right.
I know I had a lot there, but
No, that's good.
Who's
Good
next?
ones.
Jeez, yeah.
And
Fucking
don't
name-
say
Why don't you
John-
follow that one up, John?
John's gonna be like, join the Marines. They'll send you to Afghanistan for free.
And pay for your college.
This is true.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I was gonna go with couch surfing and couch selling, but whatever. I'll go more towards how to get drunk on the plane cheaper. All you need is a gallon bag. You fill it up with all those nips, and you can bring it on your carry-on. Goodbye to paying those overpriced alcohol charges.
I would suggest a quart bag, but
Well, that's just the size. Like, if it could fit in that size,
I
then it'd be
gotcha.
good, yeah.
okay. I was gonna say I think that's what the
So they
maximum
all got to
size.
be under 3 ounces, I take it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
why
but
they
the
had the
nips,
nips.
yeah.
Gotcha. It's good we're giving people strategies to improve their lives here.
Yeah,
But-
you get wasted.
Yeah, that's a good way to improve your life.
You've got like a 90-minute
No,
flight. I mean, you
can't
gotta
tell
get
people
wasted.
not to drink. Like, people are gonna drink. Why not help them get drink?
Cheaper.
Yeah, I
There
mean,
you go. I'm kidding you.
traveling's stressful.
And also, it has happened to me multiple times on a plane, and I just found this out by accident, that if you tip the flight attendant for your alcohol, they're like, oh my god, thank you. You don't have to do that, because like nobody tips them. And I've gotten at least twice free alcohol after that.
Nice.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
It's a good strategy.
Give $2, get
Yeah. Get a free
$20
unit of scotch,
worth
yeah?
in return.
Alright. Did you go travel tools?
He took all mine.
Okay.
Actually, they all took
Bastard.
mine. But a little travel hack that I always implement on planes, speaking of that, is I always fast on flights. And it makes me feel so good. Just not eating anything. I just drink water. Sometimes coffee. If it's in the morning. And every time I feel so good after the flight. Because you know if you eat like all that bullshit food that they serve and drink and have soda. Like, by the time the flight's over, you feel like a blob and you've been sitting the whole time. It's just...
I've always heard
No
water
fun.
is the most essential. You have to drink.
Yeah,
Drink it. Yeah.
that's what I do. All I do is
dehydrating
I
effect.
just drink water and fast. And, like, when I went to Italy, I had a layover in Germany. And I was up for, like, 36 hours straight. And I went out in Florence that night, like, no problem.
All right.
Yeah, fasting
Fasting's
works.
the shit.
Yeah, it works for me.
Fasting is the shit.
Yeah.
The shiznit.
The shiz.
Okay.
You
Finance
skipped,
and-
you skipped over organization and productivity tools. That
Oh,
you
I
use.
totally did. Thank you.
Yes.
Organization and productivity tools that you use, apps or other tools. You seem excited about it. Would you like to start?
I think he is.
Actually, I mean, everybody. I think I'll speak for the Evernote. I write everything down. Period. So I'm more actually old school spreadsheet to-do lists, and I
Took
keep.
both of mine.
But what I do, and Steve has started to do, and I think I was ahead of him on this, is Odesk, Elance, and Fiverr. Fiverr, I've been, and I think Steve as well, has been pleasantly surprised with the quality. But Fiverr is like, you pay somebody $5 for a service, but you can tip them. There's all these upgrades, so it's definitely not all just $5. But for one of my brands on Amazon, I did $5 to a guy to do me the logo, and it was awesome.
Wow.
And you've
Yeah.
had book covers done.
Yeah, I got 2 book covers done.
You can even
Both
do
great.
like there's random shit on like John will probably be on it tonight, throwing shit out. I mean, there's people like you know, I'll be your boyfriend online, or I'll be your girlfriend online for $5. Like the most random shit out there. But the research for my first children's joke books I had done by an Odesk, you know. So those are my productivity hacks. Oh, ignore emails coming in. That's one that I've always done that people talk about, but I don't see how you can fucking truly work and focus if you're like looking at your phone, looking at your email all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'm in production mode, whether it's work or personal, I don't look at anything but my work.
Yeah, and it takes you a few minutes to even get back into that zone after you check the
At
email.
least.
Yeah.
They say 10 minutes a lot of times.
Yeah,
It's
that's
funny
my
'cause-
problem.
I was gonna say that reminds me of one of my favorite quotes, and I'm gonna mess it up, but that you said on one of these podcasts was, you know, people confuse being busy with actually achieving things. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's a pretty
Like,
good
that's
point.
all you see in corporate America.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, confusing. It's a Zig Ziglar quote. Confusing activity with accomplishment.
That one.
And that's like neurosis and neurotic people 101. Just because you act busy and your body movements are spastic doesn't mean you're fucking doing anything. In fact, you know, the billionaires of the world are calm people that meditate.
Yeah.
They take in information and make a good decision, not spazzes that react to everything with stimuli. Is that a rant?
I like that. Can you,
Officially?
can you do that? Can you do that again? That's entertaining. I think I have a paper cut on my leg now.
All right, so Steve, all yours are gone from Marcus.
But I'll add one, and that's having blocks where you work intensely and then take breaks.
Hmm.
So, like, a lot of people do different things, like 20 minutes at a time, or 40 minutes out of every hour, or 45 minutes out of every hour. You gotta find what really works for you. What I do the 20-minute thing. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to town for 20 minutes with writing or whatever. Go through the 20-minute block. Sometimes I'm in the zone and it continues, but other times I'll take a break after that, and it's so effective.
I actually, you just reminded me. I need to write about the Pomodoro technique for the website,
Yeah.
which is basically exactly what you're saying.
But I was going to give Steve a supporting point on this one. Someone in our office environment said, "Do you ever see how Steve like does all his expenses at once, like in big stacks?" And I'm like, yeah, that's more efficient than taking that time out and doing it every day or every week.
Yeah.
You do it all at once, right? That was our boy.
All right.
Saying you're disorganized. I'm like, no, that's smart.
So I'll say I didn't realize until now that 3 out of my 4 are Google products, and the 4th one was Evernote. So there you go. But Google Calendar, I actually have found super useful because I can access it almost anywhere.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I put pretty much anything I need to remember on a certain day on there. So I mean, if you guys know me relatively well at all, I forget shit all the goddamn time. And so I mean, I found it super useful. And now that I have a significant other, we share calendars. So like, I know what the hell she's doing. She knows what I'm doing. And so like, if I put it on the calendar, I don't have to worry about being like, oh, don't you remember I have this thing I have to do.
As a support to that, I mean, I even do all my bills like that because I don't want to have to remember. So I
Yep.
set up Google reminders that repeat every month for the bills.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to like dig that out. But they also have multiple calendars, so you can do like
Yep.
share with us, share with her.
Yep, we do that too. Google Now, I mean, it's not really much of a tool other than saying, yes, you can do this, but it's basically this new thing that's creepy but awesome about Google, which is that, like, all these things that you search, like, oh, you searched for this topic, here's additional information on that topic, would you like to keep getting information on that topic? I'm like, oh, yes, I would, thank you. And then, like, it's amazing, and, like, you don't have to do anything, you just have to let Google Now do its thing. It's, you know, pretty much an Android, I think it's an Android phone thing, I don't know if they have it anywhere else. But, you know, other things like if you get an email in your Gmail, that is a flight confirmation. It automatically books it. If you have an email in your Gmail about some sort of invitation to an event, it reminds you about that and tells you when you have to leave based on your current GPS location. It's very cool stuff. So, I mean, I just love that. Google Keep, I mean, very similar to Evernote, so I'm not even going to go into it, but basically it's like post-it notes for your phone. Way to save information.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Damn, son.
Yeah, very googly.
Those are good American ideas.
All right. So I think did you go?
I did not go. Man, I was waiting. I was like, is he going to skip me? Is he? No. I got an app called If This, Then That. Pretty sweet. So the premise is you have these recipes, and in these recipes you have these different, I guess not files, but it's like a file that you deactivated. So to make the recipe, it's if this, then that. So if this happens, say if I get an email from this person, then it automatically goes here. Or they have so much shit. Like I've just started playing around with it today, and then they have, probably 1,000 preset ones, but you can also tailor design your own to fit your own needs, and you can link like everything together. Like if I take a picture with my phone, it's gonna go instantly to my Facebook, Twitter, or if I post something on Instagram, it goes to this. Like,
Damn.
That's basic AI.
Is
Yeah.
that
Artificial intelligence.
are you Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Okay.
But they have it for Android as well, and they have the website.
I was gonna say they also it reminds me of something called Tasker, which I read about. I've always meaning to set this up, but I don't do it. It's not quite the same thing, I don't think, but basically you can set it up like for certain settings. Some guy set it up so like he used his near field communication.
Mhm.
So anytime he like walked into his house, it turned the lights on and like
You can do that on this, and they have it in one setting where like it slowly starts turning your lights on 30 minutes before your alarm goes off, so that way you're fully awake by the time your alarm goes off.
very cool.
Yeah, I was playing around with it, and it was like I lost an hour easily just like looking at all the shit I could set up. And
The implications.
So what happens if like you went out trying to get laid and you didn't? Like
I'd probably have to punch myself in the dick.
Yeah.
Walk in the door and play womp womp.
The only thing that's weird about it though is linking everything up and putting like all your information out there like that. Like someone could definitely be watching this and seeing like.
NSA.
When John takes out his lubricant. All right.
We need to go there. Ready.
All right, so now we've covered everyone and going to finance and investing tools. So, do you have any here?
I plead the fifth.
Okay, Marcus?
Index funds.
All right,
I
perfect.
took one from you, right?
I was going to say, well, yeah, you did. But that
The second
two-word answer is maybe one of the better ones you could possibly come up
Yes,
with, I think.
index funds, and the other one is to one of the best ways to accumulate wealth. Having as many children as I do, I don't get to practice this very much, but is to before you get money in your paycheck, just like the 401k, to max the 401k, but to have money diverted before it hits your bank account. Because you condition then your spending habits to that. So not just your 401k, but other savings accounts. Have it automatically taken out of your check as
Yep.
much as you can. Is one of the most basic tips for accumulating wealth.
Very good.
Oh, I'm the worst person to ask about this. Are you kidding me?
So,
I barely get by month to month. Let's be serious.
all right,
Yeah, you've been
so do
hacking
you
at
have
this
any
part.
tools or nothing for this one?
I don't really have any tools.
Alright.
I can't preach something I don't practice.
Fair enough, hey.
But I mean,
We value honesty in this circle.
oh, well, that's good. Sweet. So I got something to tell you guys then. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. So for me, I guess I accidentally focused mostly on investing, but that's okay. So stock screeners, if any of you are into investing in stocks, there's a stock screener called Zacks, and then Google Finance is another good one. And that's just basically a way of, for those of you who don't know what a stock screener is, it's a way of saying, okay, I want something that's got this dividend yield or this, this number, that number, blah, blah, blah. And sort of helps you start your stock search. Yahoo Finance is like a super widespread website that has all sorts of information on different investments, different companies, different things going on in the world.
Do they still do Motley Fool as well?
Motley Fool's another one that I
But
like.
it used to be a part of Yahoo Finance.
Well, it's linked to from
That's-
Yahoo a lot.
Gotcha.
I think it's separate. But Motley Fool was really, really good back in the day, and it's still very good, but now they're more whorish about their marketing. They're just like, buy this one stock and retire forever, like bullshit.
Really?
But they also do have a good community of people that rate stocks and give independent opinions, which I think is very nice. And also, they do have good articles if you are able to read through some bullshit, and then as far as brokerages, sorry, I find this interesting. I know I'm nerding out about this, but Scottrade is $7 per trade. Options House is $5 per trade. Fidelity is $8 per trade, but you can also do some free trading of their ETFs. Share Builder is $7 per standard trade and $4 per auto investment trade. And then, I only have in experience with Scottrade and Fidelity, and I think they're both pretty good. But anyways, those are pretty much the cheapest that I found. And then as far as budgeting, Mint.com is free and fairly automated. It sort of crowdsources a lot of information, so it'll automatically classify a lot of your expenses. So you don't really have to classify everything you're spending money on as long as it's on a credit card. You can obviously manually add any cash expenses, but that's just, most people don't like taking the time to do it. I don't. And there's another one that I haven't tried, but I've heard a lot of good things about, called You Need a Budget, which currently if you buy it, it's $60, which is a little pricey for an additional investment if you're trying to save money. But first of all, I heard it's worth it. And also, I don't know if any of you have done any sort of PC gaming, but there's a PC gaming platform called Steam where you can buy games through. Anyways, the reason I mention is because they have a Steam sale a couple times a year, and usually that You Need a Budget goes on sale. Goes for $15 sometimes, so it's good to know in case that's something you're into.
That is a good tip. But so, if it's that, what makes it different or better than Mint to make it worth $60?
Right. I haven't used it, as I mentioned, but I've just heard a lot of good things, and I think it's a little bit more robust than Mint. So sometimes there's issues with A, customization of Mint, or B, getting your bank accounts to link up properly. So, I think it depends on the person and what level of investment you want to put into it. So, I think if you're willing to put a little more effort in, maybe go towards You Need a Budget. Whereas if you want it to just be like, I'll put in information at the beginning, I really just don't want to touch it much, Mint's probably the way to go.
So, what is Mint's revenue models to survive?
They actually do a lot of recommendations, they call them. And so, for example, say, I noticed you haven't updated your credit score for a while. Why don't you use this premium service and we'll get a referral? Or I noticed you're paying $10 per stock trade. Why don't you try this other brokerage that we're getting a referral for? That sort of thing. So, a lot of them actually are, pretty decent ideas. Sometimes it's just like, okay, you're just spamming me. But, that's how they make their money. So
I don't even like budgeting in the first place. Because who wants to track, every cent that they spend? That's just so tedious and takes away from your quality of life, in my opinion.
That is a way to think about it. I would say I think you are maybe lucky enough to be able to do that. Some people struggle with that,
But in my opinion, I think, and this works for me, people should focus on what's important and cut out what's not important. Because a lot of people waste money on such bullshit.
Very true.
And it's just about cutting away that bullshit, then you don't have to worry about every cent that you spend.
Yeah, and I think that's
how I roll.
Yeah, it's applicable to a lot of people, but I think, there is also people that even necessities they struggle with. So
That's how you roll or you spend?
Both.
Right.
Because a lot of people, a lot of people that I've known and know, they'll complain about money, but yet they're spending a lot of money going out to eat, or spending a lot of money on beer, or spending a lot of money on just such useless stuff. And if you're a minimalist with what you spend your money on, you don't have to worry about every cent that goes out.
Very true.
And
Let me just
that's
have a sip of my beer.
And it's and that's based on a limitation mentality instead of an abundance mentality. Like, also, I think people should focus on earning more instead of saving more.
Yeah.
This is
That's-
true.
It's always my thing. My accountant
Yeah.
doesn't agree with me. I'm always like, let's grow the top line
Yeah,
instead
exactly.
of cutting.
Yeah. Abundance.
All right, Mike.
All right.
Back to you.
So I mean, and yeah, just to reiterate what Marcus said, index funds. If you want to invest and you have no idea how, throw some money in index funds and call it a day. I mean, if you look at the returns over time, usually people that are actually paid to manage money don't make you more money. So just keep that in mind.